Yes. So, could you introduce about yourself, Professor?
Yeah, I'm Sibichan Mathew, a professor at the Department of Fashion Management Studies at NIFT, New Delhi. We run a 2-year master program in Master of Fashion Management.
Uh, could you tell us about your experiences and what have you been through to get here, sir? I mean, you're a big person right now, and whoever we ask, they're telling you're the biggest person in this campus and so on.
Um, we need to understand, how they define bigness. Yes, of course, I am the oldest person in the campus, so that's for sure. I'm also the most experienced person in the campus. At NAFT in December 1992, and I am essentially a master in economics from the MA in economics from University of Kerala. And after 3 years of work on international trade in textiles and clothing, came to know that there's an opportunity at NAFT, and that is when I applied for it and got selected. I joined this initially as a researcher and then moved up into a teaching position. Along with my MA in economics, I also added more qualifications to myself. Essentially to go with the current terms, acquired more skills. One of the skills that I added was in computers. I did an advanced systems management course from National Institute of Information Technology, NIIT. And then also I did a Master of Business Administration, which was gelling well with the program that we were offering. That was Apparel Marketing and Merchandising, which currently is known as the Master of Fashion.
Which year was it, sir?
I joined in 1992.
Yes, sir. Nearly 33 years, actually.
Yeah, that's really, yes.
And could you give the timelines of what and all you have joined, like from your degrees to now? Like, how long did you take to come to NIFT?
I graduated, I completed my master's in 89, and 89 itself I joined University of Delhi. I worked there for 3 years, and in 92 I moved to here. So therefore, this is my second job after post-graduation. And that's the... So, but all throughout I was associated with textiles and clothing. Fashion as a specialization came in only after I came into NAFT, because that is what even the program also changed to fashion management. But before that, it was all apparel, textiles, apparel. These are, if you go by trade, the HS 61, 62, and 63. These are the categories that we look at.
Sir, how different was it, sir, from economics to coming into fashion industry? And did you have some attraction towards fashion industry that led you here, or was there some kind of spark that led?
Interestingly, before when I was in Kerala, I have never heard about the term fashion. Fashion is something which I got to give even after in Delhi University also we didn't have that term too much of in use. So my first encounter with the term fashion is after hearing about NIFT. And how economics, fitted me was, marketing borrows heavily from economics, and therefore I could get a good hold of marketing related subjects because of my economics background, and therefore that helped me, apply techniques, mostly quantitative techniques, to help managerial decision making, and also learn in the process. And of course, I knew the industry. At that time, it was mostly export led. So therefore, what was required at that time, the key capabilities our students used to bring onto the table was how you deal with buyers, how you set on, deciding on international marketing, identifying international buyers, corresponding with them, and also understanding how trade in those specific categories was moving. And with those skills, I could provide. And I'm also one of the early people from India, from NIFT, who got trained in the area of retailing from foreign universities, and came back, and we started a program in fashion retail management. And that was the time, when India was tilting towards a domestic market, moving away from the focus on international markets to focus on domestic market, and entry of many international brands helped the students enter that career option that is available in retail sector. At that time in Europe as well as in US, retailing was one of the most accepted, career option. So therefore, that given an advantage for the fashion management students of those times. My understanding of technology helped them orient them to more of technology. Especially 95, 96 was the time when I was in Europe and studying, and that was the time internet was getting opened up, and we could explore how internet could be used for initially it was for information gathering, but later it became more of a transactional medium, which means what you used to buy from a store, you would actually search online, and then from a store design to a website design, more capabilities could be added to students. So, within the curriculum researching, we could bring all those changes, and that is what, we brought in. I could understand that what was going on at that time, and that helped me keep interested in the profession, interested in what I'm doing, and also help innovate on the curriculum, and also able to create professionals who could enter into opening an area which is opening, which is e-com, which also created the alumni from the first batch that I started teaching, later becoming the CEO of an e-com company. Today it is merged with Mindra, but that brand is Jabong, and Jabong later was acquired by Indra. And also we have Stampdeal, the people at the see it. Chief executive level, and we have people getting into an area which was not there. So therefore, I was able to understand what was going on, and of course, you also had inputs coming from other subject faculty, helping them. But yes, I was liking that role I was playing in that. Yes.
Sir, so completely you take first, because we never thought fashion could be done in a quantitative way. Like retailing perspective, maybe something, but 33 years you have been experts in this quantitative industry, and like the things you told now completely are relating with our questions right now. So what we had in mind of asking you was how fast fashion has come into the market, sir, essentially. Like you have been through this quantitative data. Could you share through like how it has existed, or it has been existing for a long time and it has come into limelight in the recent years?
At the onset, we need to define what, how do you define fast fashion? All about fastness is measurable, and therefore what you see when you're talking about fast anything. When I say anything, you have also fast food. You also have fast game, cricket that used to be played earlier over 5 days, has become into a 2020. So therefore things are getting faster. So from for a fashion, it is the time taken for something that is on the ramp hitting the rights of a retail store, and therefore what is the time taken for And earlier, the industry used to operate in two seasons. So now, uh, from I'm talking about 80s and 90s, even early beginning of the 20th century also went like that. But later, the consumers were not getting comfortable. They were becoming more demanding. They were becoming more aspirational. They wanted not for based on the seasons, and they wanted more items which are more trendier. So therefore, even from if you look at from 2019 to 2024, that is happening. The time taken earlier was less than a little closer to for 35 to 40 days to convert the RAM to rack. Today, I think company brands are able to do that in 14 to 19 days,
Yes.
and also that is getting reduced, and that is possible because of changes that have happened in the technology, ability to understand what consumers are able to like it. So, which means most of your searches are analyzable, analytical, analyzable. You can get to know what is it that the consumers are. Earlier, trend forecasting was a very difficult process. Today, understanding trends are very easier. You have real-time data coming to you, and it's not that you could come out with what could be the consumers were looking for. So therefore, based on that, you could have small introductions, and therefore, instead of buying in large quantities and selling over a longer time period, there was a need for focusing on smaller quantities and selling over shorter duration. Because earlier, even fast fashion in fashion, whether it is slow or fast, in a general terms, fashion ends up in excess, which means whatever you are able to buy, you are unable to sell. So therefore, there will be always a set of items which will lie unsold, resulting in dead stocks, and are unable to clear them. So therefore, companies were losing on the profitability. So therefore, they need to discount. Yeah, global average discounts at that time was hovering somewhere in the range of 40%. Now we are able to reduce that to even companies are able to derive a high sell-through rate, because they are able to control the numbers, and this control of numbers are all happening because somebody knows how much I have in store, and what is the rate of sale that is happening at the store level, and therefore what do I need to know? I know what has been my sale of a certain style over a period of time. Therefore, if that's something which consumers are asking, yeah, again and again, I can keep on introducing that. And most of the companies which are profitable are able to understand that pattern and able to provide them the consumers. Of course, also giving them what is being trended. Therefore, fast fashion as I would say, for any brand to get noticed, you need to differentiate, and if you are able to play and communicate that difference to the consumers, saying that, look, I give you a new style faster than anybody else, and that itself is a good noticeable statement that you make, and that is what the initial brands that are into fast fashion started. And when consumers started moving towards that direction, and everybody was looking at what was happening, how are they able to rapidly prototype, how they are able to convert that concept to a consumer cycle, that happens in between the RAM to right fashion journey. So you required everybody had to adopt that, because otherwise the new entrant, the new brand would have a edge in the market. So really business houses that are into fashion are compelled to look at that cycle, the time taken to convert this concept to consumer, and they are able to reduce it less. Consumers are going a good time because you are able to bring newness every time I visit a store. And theories also state that consumers will start buying something new only when they spot something new. So therefore, we are able to show them something new. So everybody is in that curry of providing consumers something new.
Oh, sir, suppose let's take two brands, X, Y,
Yeah.
and X, for example, focuses more on a store fashion kind of things, where it's, let's say, for men's, it will be like a classic shirt. Raymond, let's take an example. Raymond or Arrow would be fine, and why let's take a fast fashion brand like something like Soul Store or something e-commerce based, or even let's take Zara, H&M. So, what essentially is the management difference there? Like, is there some differences in the allowance? For example, our fabric has been taken and there is some shrinkage of 6% and the limit is 5%. Is there some kind of management difference between these two brands? And from a marketing perspective, sir, what would be the key difference? And is there a difference in the time of decision making, sir, essentially between these both brands?
What see fabric is available. It can be a cotton, it can be a blend. So therefore, whether it is fast or slow, whether it is that brand or this brand, they will all be going with the same type of brand. The ability of the brands to do this turnaround faster. Will I be able to get my fabric and dye faster? I remember earlier times when you were talking about making something available to the consumer fast. UCB, the Benetton brands, they used to even dye pieces, and that was close to the factory. So for how much time it is going to take, and if you are able to convert that faster, and these are all mostly operational, and therefore, whether you have the facility to Zara, for example, if they were getting the fabric from the cheapest source and on the sale to another location, they could do the conversion of the fabric to a garment and then ship it to another shop. So therefore, the sailing time has been already combined to convert your fabric into a garment. Therefore, you innovate on how do I really identify non-value adding activities. Transportation does add value, but can I also do something else to actually add, reduce the time required to do that. And then those are things which are a more managerial image.
So would slow fashion also innovate on the same thing, or fast fashion brands would do it faster? Is the thing you're coming to tell?
I am slow fashion, or again I go back to food. When we talk about slow food, what does it mean? You have something that is cooked slowly. It has taken its time. The type of food that Gen Z, Gen Alpha consume these days are fast food, which means it doesn't go through the whole process of it's not maybe it doesn't require cooking at all. In a slow food, you have been, maybe it was marinated, it was put through a process, and it has taken that much of time in converting this into a product that is eatable. And similar fashion, if I have taken the required time to dye a fabric, also the effort, instead of, let's say, joining two pieces together, somebody has taken time to needle them together. So I have something. Earlier times it was all hand woven, and then you have people sitting at home and then piecing it together. But now it is all machine doing it, and therefore the time taken to hand knit a garment to a item that is made on a machine is going to take less time. So therefore, it's all about understanding, whether I am now. If I do that, it's certainly going to take time. maybe the issue that is here is that when I have more things that are happening more faster to the market, consumers are buying it. When I buy something new, let's say I have two things to eat on the plate and I have also third thing on the plate. I have certain capacity, therefore I might have to reject, what, between, out of this, I can't eat everything, I can only eat, therefore, you have, so I have only bought 3 pieces, in my last buy, I see something, new in the new visit and I am tempted to buy that. When I buy these 3 pieces, what I have already bought is going to be becoming very old. I tend to not to buy. So creating a sort of a psychological obsolescence for the product. The product is very good, but mind has already rejected it. So therefore, what you're creating is these items are getting it is getting accumulated, and you have to also dispose those items. And when you're disposing those items, those are creating ecological imbalances, which is affecting environment negatively. There are negative consequences to the ecosystem that we are living in. So that is what is happening, and therefore there is a thought of looking at, can I hold on? Can I delay? And that is not that's not nothing to do with fast fashion or slow fashion. It is to do with conscious consumption. As a consumer, do I buy at the same rate I have been buying in the past decade? In the coming decades, do I need to actually change? And these are things again. Brands can influence consumers by telling them, how good or bad their actions can be on the planet, on the people, and therefore ask for ways to change. And it's again communication is part of marketing initiatives. Some brands have already started talking about it, and that's the reason you have taken brands which are talking about slow fashion. Therefore, again, I go back to the same point. In the market, when there is somebody getting established, others would come in and to see how do I differentiate from what is happening. And then a new brand is born, and then there is something called a consumer fatigue of seeing the same name. And then the moment somebody else coming and talking about something new, consumers would shift to that. Clothing is required, fashion is required. Certain styles will become fashion, and you require the whole cycle is determined by how good is the design, how good is the construction, and how good you are able to communicate to the consumers. Therefore, that is the beauty of NIFT. You have this design, technology, and management under the same roof, integrating, preparing all the students to understand all the 3 sides of those business dimensions to make whether a faster or slower or fashion in us.
So let us suppose we want to establish a new brand. To make fast fashion, there are certain brands that rely purely on impulse buying by the customers. For example, they see a reel and they go and buy on it. They don't think twice, it's just impulse. And for example, there are some other brands who do no marketing, for example, like Zudio, and they are also doing great. And there are certain brands which rely purely on advertisements too. So, is there a proportion that we should take for this? Is there a certain path that we should choose, or it purely depends on the brand building skills of the brand?
If you have to start a new brand, again, that's a decision that you take. When you look at the market, of course, consumers are already behaving in a certain way, but you need to also identify if there is a change in consumer sentiments towards certain phenomena that are happening in the market. Are they going more towards fast? Are they going more towards slow? Or are they even looking at consumer products that are, let's say, technology integrated. You have smart clothing and so forth. Therefore, if I have a very expensive T-shirt, which is embedded with many features to let my doctors know how my physio is working. Maybe that is going to be costing more than ₹1,00,000 or so, and even everybody can get to know my moods. I mean, family would get to know my moods, my doctors can detect my vitals, all those phenomena. And if it is very expensive, then perhaps I might only have one or two of pieces of that. So therefore, where do you want to start is on the entrepreneur. You want to start with something fast or slow. It is not about fast or slow. It's about where is the opportunity in the market, and identifying that opportunity. That that requires the ability to sense are there pain points among consumers? Are there unfulfilled latent demand among consumers? If you are able to identify and you say that there are no existing players who are meeting that demand, you can get started with that. So it is not something specific to fast fashion. If you think that I can be more faster than the best fast fashion player, then there's an opportunity for you. But it's all about identifying, looking into the market. When I say market, it's not necessarily even, let's say, humans. It can be even the way your pets are started, that also is an opportunity, for you to get started as an entrepreneur. Therefore, it's all about sensing that, what is happening in the market. Then the moment you are able to pick that, there is an opportunity, then you evaluate that, whether I can sense that, whether will I be able to convert this into a business proposition, will I be able to, make this viable option, make this business sustainable, over a period of time. Then you take a decision to, test on.
Sir, last week I saw an interesting reel. Like the European Union Customs Code has a specific code number 60, which says where is the place of the last substantial transformation will become the origin of the product. Like now the Italian big brands are having their productions at China and just stitching a small part at Italy and labeling it as made in Italy and pricing it at a high cost. So what's your take on this, sir?
See, when you look at international trade, in order to determine tariff lines, you need to know the country of origin, and the ways you determine the countries of origin are based on the rules existing in different continents and different countries. US have their own rules and EU has their own rules. EU as a collective of nations. UK has its own. It's not about where you made. I think consumers are, one of my research scholar has looked into this phenomenon of looking at the country of origin, that is where it got made, to vis-a-vis the country of brand origin, where is this brand from. So therefore, if you get to know that, let's say, if you're buying jeans, consumers know Levi's is US, consumers know diesel is Italy, gas is Italy. So the moment where it is made, consumers are not even interested. I mean, you look at yourself when you buy items from H&M and Zara and Gap's, based, out of Indian, the stores based of India. Will you look at the label, looking at where it is made and whether it is going to detract you from buying that item? Our studies have indicated that it plays a normal role. So therefore, well, you also need to understand how manufacturing has moved from continents to other continents, because there is cost implications to the product. When you have cost reduction, even if you do not increase the price, you are still able to maintain your profitability. So there are ways of managing business. So therefore, if it's a brand which is conceived as perceived by the consumers as high, and the consumers hold it at high level, it has got prestige associated, if it has got class associated, consumers would like to, the market can be divided into mass and class, and the class would like to pay more irrespective of where it is made. So therefore, country of origin rules have to be understood that way. Tariff is determined based on where the final conversion has been taken. Yes.
Sir, previously I asked, I asked Ravi Chana sir also regarding the question. Why do you think India has essentially become a big hub of this textile industry, sir? And his take on it was Indians are good at jugaad. That's what he mentioned. But is there a different take from your end, sir?
I coming from the development of nations, if you go into the history of European, American continents, they all were textile and garmenting nations to begin with. And we also had a good heritage, good history in textiles. But commercially, we started getting into these lines. If you look at many of the hubs in many of the big companies, even the Aditya Birla that you heard about, or the Tata that you heard about, they all had mills, textile mills to begin with. So therefore, you need to understand, we talk about food, and intentionally I talk about food because those form the primary needs of consumers. You need to eat, you need to clothe, and you need to rest your head somewhere. So therefore, food, clothing, and shelter, are primary needs. So therefore, but I would buy something which is more affordable depending on the money available to me, the resources available to me, and if I can get something made at a lower price, why should I, why should I not use that? So then, prudent businessman would always look at if there are ways of, if there are places where I can get it cheap. If you go into the history of Walmart, the retailer, he's still, it is one of the largest retailer, and there, nobody can sell cheaper than what they are. Leave aside the new Chinese brands that have come in, but still Walmart is able to, and they were able to do it because they were able to locate where this item is available, and not just textiles and apparel. Any product that you buy from Walmart is cheaper, and that is happening because of identification of sources where I can get it cheap. So from Europe and US, the American continent, the textile and manufacturing, the apparel manufacturing capabilities came to Asian region, and as I told you, the nations, they were able to make some money or provide employment to people, because it required the textile mills are more capital intensive, they have more machinery, but garmenting as a economic activity are labor intensive. You require more employees to come on board, and the moment they come on board, when they're employed and they get their money, and the national capita increases, and therefore then it helps develop. And if you see what this has resulted in, let's say Bangladesh or even many of the regions in Africa, they are all taking this. When within India, it has moved from the so-called ABC of textiles to universities, because the moment you came in, Tirupur was never on the radar earlier. It was Coimbatore, which was more of a textile hub. But when Damani happened, Tirupur became one of the so therefore it has to do with weather, and also it is easier to teach you how to tailor, than teaching you how to code. So, therefore, you have, and when you have people who are not highly educated, there are people who are still looking for employment. This provides an opportunity for, therefore, you created that, expertise, and we were able to provide supply items at a competitive price to international markets, and we were still, able to do that. But simultaneously, we have also shifted to manufacturing, automobiles, now defense equipments. Now so the moment you go into other areas, but then it gives wider opportunity.
Once the money starts flowing, it goes into every part.
So there comes as a citizen, if I want to decide on if I'm an eligible aspirant to work, then I have the options whether I take this skill or take that skill and join this sector. So therefore, the major advantage that we have is the presence of the entire value chain within India. You talk about any type of fiber, you have it. You are good in cotton cultivation. You are the largest. You have polyester supplier. So you look at all the fibers. You look at the number of the share, the global share that we have in garment supplies. So we have everything here, and that's the reason we continue to be successful. And also with NFT coming in, we are also able to create a good pool of professionals who can support these industries, and therefore they are able to drive, whether it is driving international trade or whether driving domestic trade, and that's happening. And also e-com and quick commerce, you name any. And there are, of course, also maybe the newer way of business would be cross-border commerce. So which means, instead of exporting things, if you are a well-known brand which is aspired by, let's say if you are a well-known sustainable or a slow fashion brand, maybe global consumers are aspiring to have it, and they can directly log on to your website and place the order, and you can deliver it there. And they are willing, they are maybe ready to pay the additional import duties required, and trade route, the landscape will change drastically when you move forward.
So, threading to the same question from the answer you gave, speaking about labor exploitation, according to Human Rights Report 2022, Ethiopia had its very lowest pay in the world, like $26 per week. That was from a textile manufacturing hub in Ethiopia. So, do you think these big brands target Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Cambodia, with the countries which don't have such big economical stability or a very big trade union strength? Or what's your viewpoint on this?
Anything can be seen from multiple perspectives. So therefore, what I would say is that, let's say you are completing your graduation and you are looking for a job, and they're giving you a job or not giving you a job, which is better? So therefore, in a country where you have less people or high rate of unemployment, so providing an employment is an opportunity if you see from that perspective. So therefore, you need to be seeing, which is, and for those households and for those people, getting that 27 cents, mean a lot.
Sir, unorganized sector in India is slowly decreasing, sir, and the literacy rate is also going up. Is it that educated people are preferring more branded products? And is there some relationship between it and the fast fashion industry growing in India, especially?
Uh, Again, of course, brands look at people who have certain literacy levels. So there is a positive correlation between higher education and brand preference. But I have less evidence to support that to fast fashion, because maybe with higher education you would be preferring you would be preferring you would be preferring slow fashion. We do not know, because that is when you are becoming more aware about what's happening and the negative consequences of all, they have the ability to differentiate what is good and what is not good.
Could be related towards the retail sector, sir, of India growing due to the literacy rate. That be a thing.
Retail is what? Retail is nothing but providing whatever consumers require,
Yes.
and they get available to them closer as per their convenience. And so whether it is more to do with your income than education. So if you have money, you will spend. If you do not have money, then whether it is slow or high, fast, I do not know. But if you have no money, you can spend. You need to steal.
Sir, and what's your take on fast fashion, sir? A brief take. Just
I initially when the concept was introduced, that was around turn of the century, 95, 96, 98. That's the time when this came in, and there was a time also I was studying supply chain, and for me the model did offer a different way of managing the whole business. You don't have to wait for there is this concept of quick turnaround. Have this just in time. All those concepts started coming in, and therefore I had. But the moment the environmentalist or the sustainable angle coming in, which is, I would say again, there could be merit to what they are saying, but you would say, let's say, you encourage tourism, and you want people to travel to other countries. And if I'm traveling from here to, let's say, Europe or US, I won't be able to travel by road. Even the likelihood of you taking a ship is bigger. But if I'm traveling by air, and that's the most acceptable or the faster option available to me, but the carbon footprint in any air travel arts is much higher than what happens from when I travel from Delhi to, let's say, Denmark. there is a cost. There is a carbon emission that is happening through the. But if I ship it, by airship it, there is a air pollution that happens. But then when you're air shipping, compared to a sea ship, which was the earlier norm, then sea route will take more time, and therefore your delivery manner, because now you are talking about 2 weeks can actually make the trend change, and you will not be able to So therefore, in many ways, you have negative implications that are posed by fashion companies on on the environment, whether it is water bodies, whether it is air, whether it is even people are getting influenced, because of the yeah. Look at the type of microplastics that are coming and the implications of polyester getting. Most of the items are polyblend is what is more commonly available or in fast fashion categories. So now it has been played up and there is a realization, and so therefore I'm sure that consumers might reconsider, or even consumers if they remain what they are, but the providers, someone who are supplying these items have to be conscious, and they need to change their ways of doing it. And when you have only good things available in the market, consumers would only buy good things. That being said, we have been hearing about the ill effects of smoking or alcohol consumption, and but do you have people stop smoking or consuming? So therefore, the consumers are not anybody's slave, and they take their decisions based on what they would like to do. But making them conscious, making them aware, and rather providing them with what is good for the environment is in the interest of everyone. Therefore, I am with someone who would be doing that, which is in the interest of people, planet, and of course the one who is making it available to the market would require their reward, and there is no harm in their getting the reward.
Sir, and what's your take on on-demand manufacturing, sir? Like, for example, a brand would...
The consumers are going to wait, and for that lead time, why not?
And on-demand nowadays, the time period is becoming lesser.
Yes.
And after I spoke with some experts, what they have said is, on-demand manufacturing essentially is not the most efficient way to manufacture things. For example, let's take 40,000 pieces. It would be manufactured.
You will lose the whole economies of scale, if you are having volumes, and that is what the big retailers were working on, because their numbers were very high. Even Walmart, the number of the millions or pieces that they could place an order with is not something which a local retailer would be able to place. Therefore, when you have volumes, your cost of operations will certainly come down, and I would be able to get cheaper even the same items, because there are efficiencies of a firm that are determined by your average cost curves. Therefore, you need to be looking at those components and then deciding whether will you be able to cater to one order at a time. There are people who are doing it. If you look at your local retailer, local tailor, he is actually making for one. And that used to be the initial mechanism. And therefore, what we see all over is back to the same cycle. And, perhaps, it has been coexisted. You had big factories making, but you also had the tailor. And you go to any market, you will find the tailor, and they would also be stitching a shirt. They will also be stitching a, salwar kameez. So therefore, both will coexist.
Sir, we would end our interview here, sir.
The message to the next generation, or you're a great professionalist, and what message would you pass on, or what experiences from your experience?
My message is very simple to any student that they come across. You are all born with everything. Everything is within. Early, if you are able to realize that potential within you, then you can branch out to anything that you want to. So the capabilities are embedded. Even if, these days your resources are not constrained. But the moment you understand there's an opportunity, it's all there. Even with adequate practice with adequate exercise. When I say exercise, it's more like an imposition. You have to learn, write more times. Similarly, if you want to get that skill, do that continuously and do till the time you get perfect in that, and then everybody can become what they actually want to become. So that is something which. So never think that you have less competence, you have others have more competence. No, human beings are also even the circumstances were different. So you need to see that how do I really turn it in your favor and then bring out the best in you. And that's still possible. And there are adequate people who are role models whom you can imitate.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Best wishes.
Thank you, sir.
Best wishes. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry, we